Another beautiful day on the Outer Banks. I'd like to welcome everyone. I don't have my shoes off today and socks off. The sand's too hot. But we've got some historic news that many of us have been waiting for throughout North Carolina and frankly throughout the East Coast. And this is very important, not only to the people who live and work here in the Outer Banks, but it's important to the millions of visitors that visit North Carolina from across the world and across the nation every year. So therefore, I am proud and happy to announce today that the state of North Carolina will finally replace the aging Bonner Bridge with a new parallel bridge right here across the Oregon Inlet. Yay! Hey! Woo! This milestone is made possible under a settlement agreement and reached between the NCDOT and the SELC on behalf of the Defenders of Wildlife and the National Wildlife Refuge Association. Now, this has been a team effort between these organizations, the state of North Carolina, and I also want to recognize some of the local officials who are here. I don't have all of them, but I do want to recognize Mayor Edwards of Nags Head. Mayor, thank you very much. You're a lot more comfortable than I am today. I'm going to change that Virginia hat to a North Carolina hat shortly too. Malcolm Faring, the DOT rep in this area, has been extremely helpful during this process. Malcolm, thank you very much. Hey, y'all give Malcolm a round of applause. Yeah, he's around here. And also Chairman Bob Woodward, Dare County Commissioner. Chairman Bob, you've been right here on top of us every time making this happen. We do appreciate it. And also your sheriff, Doug. Sheriff, where are you? He's been driving. Sheriff, we appreciate your partnership an awful lot. I'm not sure about your driving, but we appreciate your partnership. It's been a team effort to make this happen. And Tony Tate has been a part of that team and leading this effort. He said when he became North Carolina Department of Transportation Secretary, he was going to get this thing settled, and he's done just that along with his great team. He's a professional. He knows the subject very well. He knew the importance of this bridge, and he promised this governor that it was going to happen. And that means that we're building the Bonner Bridge exactly as it was originally planned by the state under the contract that we awarded in 2011. And replacing this bridge is first vital, as we've mentioned right here during storms. It's very vital. Our number one priority is safety. And this is extremely important for the safety of people driving along the Outer Banks. And the second reason this is important, it's important to our economy and the millions of visitors that depend upon the travel and tourism, but more than anything, the number of businesses and people that their livelihood is dependent upon this bridge being built. So safety and jobs are two accomplishments that we're making today. And this has been more than 2 decades in the making. And I'm convinced that these groups not had viable discussions during the past many months, that it could have been delayed for another decade. And that is totally unacceptable. So to have this agreement made, and sincere and very worthwhile negotiations have been occurring, that we're accomplishing our goals, and that is connect NC, connect North Carolina. Not only connect North Carolina with the rest of North Carolina, but also connect North Carolina with our neighboring states, and especially with the Northeast, because it's so vital that we get the travel and tourism money coming down from Canada all the way down to North Carolina. And to have this bridge, one of the biggest feedbacks I got from the people of this area was, we need a decision, and we need a form of dependent consistency for the next decade or two. And this is a very important decision for the economy, and again, for our quality of life and for our safety. So connecting North Carolina, this is a major accomplishment for the state. And nothing compares to North Carolina's beautiful coastline. We're continuing to work on other challenges, especially with the storms. And you've got a team to do it right here behind me that have worked together to make this happen. And I'm honored to tell the people here along the Outer Banks that your new lifeline, Bonner Bridge, will be built right here. And it's going to be built in a very high quality way to last for generations to come. And to tell you more details about that, I'm honored to introduce Secretary Tony Tata. I figured if he can build bridges in Afghanistan under fire, he can do it right here in the Outer Banks, and he's doing just that. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Tony Tata.
Thank you, Governor. First and foremost, I appreciate your support. Your administration is indeed about building bridges and about finding solutions, and I appreciate your support during this process, giving us the freedom of maneuver to find a workable solution for not only the Bonner Bridge, but Pea Island and beyond. This long process has been many years in the making, as the Governor said, and there are so many people to thank, but I think there are a few that, as we participated in the process here, really deserve being singled out. First is Shelley Blake, the General Counsel for NCDOT. Without her leadership, stewardship of this process, I'm quite confident we would not be standing here today. Equally deserving is Julie Youngman, the Senior Attorney for the Southern Environmental Law Center. The same goes for her. Without her stewardship and leadership, we would not be standing here today. Keeping this bridge standing has been no easy task, and Jerry Jennings and his Division 1 team, Jerry, where are you right now? Let's give Jerry a round of applause. He's been keeping this thing going safe for the motoring public for many years, and will continue to do so for the next 3.5 years as we get the new bridge built. And of course, Mike Charbonneau and his communications team have helped us communicate messages consistently, accurately, and on time. And so, Mike, thank you for all your hard work. Constructing a new Bonner Bridge right here, parallel to the existing bridge, is something everyone here in Dare County, and ever since I was a kid coming down here, have been waiting for and have been watching for. And indeed, in addition to building a new Bonner Bridge, we will consider other options to move vulnerable portions of Highway 12 out of the southern portion of the Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge and into the Pamlico Sound. Under the agreement, conservation groups will dismiss both federal and state Bonner Bridge related lawsuits, and NCDOT will cease work on the 2.4 mile Pea Island Bridge. Instead, NCDOT will implement interim measures on Pea Island to provide safe and reliable travel as the department works with the merger team comprised of state and federal resource and regulatory agencies to study options for Pamlico Sound structures to address the Merlot Beach area and Pea Island Inlet created by Hurricane Irene. Per the agreement, before construction can begin, there's a happy motoring person right there. Before construction can begin, per the agreement, a few things need to happen. First, we need to cancel the permanent Pea Island Bridge project contract, which we did this morning. Second, we will present to the merger team for approval NCDOT's preferred long-term solution for Rodanthe to build a jug handle bridge that will go into the Pamlico Sound, which we will do later this month, actually next week. And we will apply for an amended CAMA permit for an interim structure at Pea Island to provide safe and reliable travel through that area. We'll be able to submit the work needed to apply for that permit next week, and Diener would likely be able to issue that amended CAMA permit within 60 to 75 days. Once those things are complete, once all of that is complete and the amended permit is issued, the Southern Environmental Law Center has agreed to drop the remaining lawsuits under this agreement. So, beginning today, things are moving forward. We've told the contractor building the Bonner Bridge to begin mobilizing so that they can begin moving dirt as soon as possible after the lawsuits are officially dismissed. The initial process will still take some more time, and it will take at least 3 years to complete the new bridge. So Jerry's still got a lot of work to do to maintain this bridge. But we're thrilled, again, to be able to say that the path is now clear to begin that work, and a new, safer Bonner Bridge is on the horizon, one which will also help us address some of the issues within the Oregon Inlet. And before we wrap up, I'd like to turn it over to Derb Carter, Director of the Southern Environmental Law Center. Derb, thank you for your teamwork and cooperation as well.
Thank you, Governor McCrory and Secretary Tata. We represented the Defenders of Wildlife and National Wildlife Refuge Associations in this lawsuit that has gone on for a very long time. This has been a very challenging process to all involved. It's been a very long process. We understand and know that it's been a particularly long process to those of you who live here on the Outer Banks, and particularly those who live on Hatteras Island and view this bridge as your lifeline. This is something we've understood from the very beginning. This is a very significant investment of public resources to replace this bridge. It has the potential to affect one of the nation's great national wildlife refuges in Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. It's also occurring in an environment that I'm not telling any of you who live here anything new. It's very challenging. It's a very dynamic environment. Storms, hurricanes, overwash, new inlets. It's what happens down here. So we've always viewed this as a project to not only replace the Bonner Bridge, but come up with a long-term solution on the area of Highway 12 going through the refuge that can provide safe and reliable transportation while avoiding and minimizing impacts to this national treasure, the Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. We believe that we have come up with a plan going forward that can achieve that goal, that can provide reliable long-term transportation through a series of steps that will be taken, allowing the Bonner Bridge to be promptly replaced at its current location, and having all of this occur in a way that can avoid and minimize impacts to Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge to the maximum extent possible. So we view this as a win-win, a win as a transportation alternative, but also a win in terms of protecting a very valuable public resource we have down here in Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. We greatly appreciate the efforts of Department of Transportation staff and lawyers in trying to come up with a solution. I can say now none of this would have likely happened had not the Department of Transportation made the decision and take the initiative last fall to temporarily rescind or postpone movement on the permanent bridge at the Pea Island Inlet, which will now be rescinded and become a part of the plan that Secretary Tata outlined. So we're very appreciative of their efforts. We think we have a good plan going forward, and we could look forward to working with the Department of Transportation and implementation of the various steps that are outlined in this settlement agreement. If I could, I just for a moment would like Desiree Sorensen, who's with National Wildlife Refuge Association, to say a couple of words.
Thanks so much. You know, there's times in your career that a day that you will remember your whole life, and this is one for me. I've been working on this for a really long time, and it's been a tough slog. It's been hard, but there have been dedicated people in the state of North Carolina convinced that we can find a path forward, and we did. We found a way forward that can provide safe, reliable transportation, but we also found a way to protect natural resources. And that's what this is about. This is about that these things are not mutually exclusive. This is about finding a path forward for everything. And I think we can do this in many more places. I see this as the beginning of a great relationship with the state of North Carolina and the DOT and others in the state to think about other areas in our state and where we can partner together. I want to say a special thanks to the governor, Secretary Tata, and of course, Shelley Rockstar Blake. If it had not been for folks like Shelley, we wouldn't be here today. And the amount of time that we sat together and figured out a path forward is what made this possible. So I thank you all, and I look forward to working with everyone in the future. Thank you.
I'll conclude by saying the following. My dad was a small town city council member in Worthington, Ohio when I was 7, 8, 9 years old before they made the wise move to move the family to North Carolina. And I'll never forget, he had a saying on his brochure which said the following: we must walk the fine line between continuing our economic growth and prosperity while also protecting the quality of life and environment which brought many of us here. And this is the fine balance that we all want to achieve, is we know we have to continue to have that economic prosperity for us to survive and to have a livelihood. But we also are very dependent upon protecting the quality of life and the environment. And that's that fine line that we successfully have succeeded in walking and agreeing to. And that's extremely important for the Outer Banks. It's important for North Carolina, it's important for our country. And having this productive dialogue has been tough, but it was a problem-solving conclusion. And that's what it's all about, and this is the best of North Carolina. Again, I'd like to thank so many of you. We came to a lot of meetings down here, especially members of my administration. We heard feedback from all sides, but we've come to a conclusion and we've come to a solution, and that's what it's all about. And there are many more challenges ahead where we walk that fine line, but we have to keep having that conversation, dialogue, and problem solving together as a state and as a nation. So I look forward to participating in that. And with that, each of us will be available for any one-on-one interviews that you'd like to do. I think that might be easier in this hot sun, if y'all don't mind. Instead of y'all sitting through all these long questions, we'll be available for one-on-ones for any of you afterward. Thank you, and God bless North Carolina.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much.
This is a historic day for Dare County. Replacement of the Bonner Bridge will continue to provide long-term, reliable, stable access to Hatteras Island, which is vital to Dare County and the state of North Carolina. We appreciate Governor McCrory's leadership and certainly thank him for traveling to Dare County to make this very important announcement. A decision on the bridge replacement has been a long time coming and represents a culmination of a decade-long effort by NCDOT, the Dare County Board of Commissioners, and many in our community.